Viewers, my name is Nanaya Odami and I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of the Men's Lounge. Bear in mind, today is Thursday and as far as it's 9 p.m., what else would you expect? It's us. You're going to see me coming to you with lots of friends, nice people who are going to be discussing very important topics that you always want to hear us talk about. I'm going to start by saying a very big thank you to Kasapreko Alomo Bites who have been with us through this whole episode and through this whole season of the Men's Lounge, and I know they're still going to keep being with us for the subsequent ones that we'll be coming back with very soon. Also, a big thank you to Yamvita. Yamvita is another set of products from Promasidor. You know Promasidor, cowbell, onga, yeah, and they have Yamvita also. Yamvita is something for the babies, between 1 up to about 6 years. They take the Yamvita. And so last week we spoke about we did something about auto, we spoke about cars and you remember how exciting it was. The BMWs, the lovers of the Mercedes, those who love the Toyotas and those, the Maseratis and yeah, last week I learned somebody has a Tesla in this country and in fact the whole week I've been asking myself how the person's going to drive it because where would you charge it from? Anyway, it's just the fact that people love toys like I do and that they don't just relent on their efforts to want to get them. Today we'll be discussing something very, very important, but I'm going to go on my very first break. But before I go, let me just remind you that Season 3 is ending today. And so this episode today is going to end Season 3 for us. We will take a very short break, and then we'll come back with Season 4. And so before we go, I may announce to you when we'll be back with the Season 4. But it's again a time to say a very big thank you to all those who have been part of this season. And so I'm going to take this break. When I'm back, we go straight to the discussions, and I'll tell you who I have in the studio to do the discussions with me. Please stay tuned. As we are in the men's lounge, and I'm sure once it's a Thursday and it's already 9 p.m., we'll be discussing all those important matters that you always have in mind. And so this week we are going to be talking about the alpha male. I'll try to explain in my no. I'll let my guest explain the alpha male, and then the regular Joe. It sounds more like a jargon to you, isn't it? So the alpha male, the regular Joe, the choice of women and why. Between these two, there could be a third that we don't know, but between these two, which of them is the choice of a woman and why? And today, to do this discussion with me, I have Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur. He's been with me. He loves coming to the lounge. So when he just leaves work and then joins me over here for us to talk, he loves to talk too. And so, Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur, Akwaba.
Yeah.
No, it's become a normal. We don't do that.
Yeah, we don't
or maybe
do
we
that.
should try it, but you end up somewhere like that. And then you're done.
Okay.
Charlie, how are you?
Grace.
You see, anytime I see you, I begin to appreciate the work that our frontline,
Yes.
workers are doing, especially in these times of the COVID-19. In the past 2 weeks, I've come quite close to some of these patients and some of the doctors and how even the testing is done and everything. I think you guys are doing something. Yeah. Look, maybe I only read, in the past I read, I joined the discussion, but this time, I've come that close. Yeah. Do you guys sleep at all?
Now every doctor or health personnel is a frontline worker.
Wow.
Because of how the spread is. Because anybody who shows up at the clinic is a suspect, can have the virus. And so every worker, medical personnel is a frontline. For example, you're a doctor, you write whatever, you even didn't pick that this person may have COVID. Then you decide, okay, go to the lab. The lab person is a front worker because you referred a patient to that lab.
To that lab.
Right, so now when you go to hospital, you're wondering who are you going to meet and what is going to happen. Right, so your PPEs, your trust in your PPEs and your trust in God, hoping that you will do your part, God will do his part so that things work out. We heard that about 700 and something, health professionals have been infected already.
Yeah.
And that is quite large. If you look at the different professionals, maybe we may have to look at the different professions and who have. But it's so anytime you go to the hospital, and at this point you can't say you won't go. So anytime you go, you are afraid, not afraid, but you're concerned that something may come up. And it's been like that.
But Isaac, is there something?
I've gone on isolation twice, though.
Hey?
As in terms of contact, not as in tested positive.
It's okay. It's okay. Look.
So that's quarantine.
Yeah.
Twice.
Twice.
Yeah. So that's it.
No wonder
it's a long time.
Yeah, you've been quiet for some
time.
time.
It's
but it's
a
fine.
long
You
time.
see, for me, like I said earlier, I used to hear about it. I read and everything. But the last 2 weeks, I've come that close. And then I begin to realize that, oh, wow, you guys deserve, look.
Yeah.
I think applause is not enough.
Yeah,
you deserve more than just applause.
It's a lot of work and
yeah,
sacrifice.
Yeah. Charlie, I mean, kudos to all of you. All of you, doctors, nurses, mention them.
The lab technicians. We have the physiotherapists. We have all the surgeons. All of them.
Even those who failed science in school. All of you.
We have the orderlies. Everybody that works in the hospital. Yes. No, and the pharmacists.
Pharmacists, everybody. You guys are doing a great job, and I think God will richly bless you. But Doc, you see, I keep hearing that, well, for the sake of the fact that we haven't, or the cure hasn't been found, I hear, based on that, people are saying, look, it's something that's for now come to live with us, and we need to also learn, to live with it. Is there something different that we need to start doing in addition to the normal protocols that we are aware, or there's something? I don't know. Is there something different we need to be doing in addition?
Well, we lost the battle the day it left China because of the nature of the virus and how it spreads. When people move, the virus moves. Yeah. It's as simple as that. So at the beginning, if we had a global agenda to stop it, we would have decided to pause almost everything, intensive for a certain short time, so that we are able to isolate, do this and that. If we had contained everything in China, that was it. Closing of borders should have been done, earlier than it was. But it's a new virus. Nobody really knew. WHO has to come up all the time. Sometimes they will say this, you have to come back and correct this and that because it's a new virus, and we are learning new things every day. Right. So I think that is why things are becoming like that. And if suddenly everybody has to readjust their lives in order to accommodate something, it becomes difficult. So now the discussion has left, the fact that it's infectious, but how dangerous. That is where the discussion is going. It's not how infectious, but how dangerous.
You'll be infected anyway.
Okay, so if people are getting it, so what? Thinking about the impact.
So how do we
So if you look at the impact and the impact of other stuff, the life goes beyond COVID. So beyond that, what should be the best decision? But the way forward is that whichever decision you take, you should be prepared for the consequences. Like if you're opening schools, prepare for the consequences. Now they are in school, you say come home, right? People are forced to come home. If you say they should come home, there are consequences. Prepare for it. So every decision at this time, we should be able to work everything out in our minds to say that this decision, this is exactly what is going to happen. And it's like prediction. You can't, it's so simple. Like for example, those who are home, if you say they should go home, now those who have been infected in the schools become the source of the infection in the communities. So, and for secondary schools, students come from everywhere. Some villages you can't even locate on. They are from there. So now all those villages, they may go there if anybody has it. Right? So if you say they should go home, there is a consequence. We should be prepared for it. If they say they stay in school, there's a consequence. So I always stand in the middle, right, and say that regardless of the decision, we should be prepared for the consequence. And whichever consequence we think we can handle best, we choose that decision.
Well, some years ago, a few years ago, it was an election petition where, the arguments in court made every parent interested in wanting their kids to be lawyers. But this one, I haven't heard any parent saying that my son or my daughter must be a doctor. Hey, please let's help our kids also to join this force to also battle when it comes to some of these things. I have decided to be a doctor myself soon. So I'll be joining you guys to I'll be a frontline worker. So if you're hearing me, please, frontline worker, the money, you know what I mean. All right, let's come back to the studio. So I said earlier that alpha male and the other one, But before we even start, what different traits in men? Okay, what different traits in men? Or what are the different traits in men? And how does it portray a man's masculinity?
You know, this issue about masculinity and stuff like that, you know,
Yeah.
this in this season or this, I won't say generation, but in these times, you realize that there have been all kinds of arguments and all kinds of things around it.
Yeah.
But baseline, we would have to recognize that men are different from women. And that to be masculine or feminine, it is not, you don't choose it. It is something that is genetically determined.
Okay.
And there are all kinds of hormonal changes in the body that is responsible for how you look, and all kinds of genetic, combinations that is responsible for how you look and what happens to you, right? So to be masculine means that you have the potential to be masculine. To be feminine, it means you have that inherent potential to be feminine.
Okay.
The moment you decide to crisscross, what it means is that you are putting undue pressure on yourself to be what you are not capable of becoming. It's as simple as that. And also, you see, the two complement but not compete.
Okay.
It's complementary. And that is the beauty of what God has made. Everything complements nicely, right? So the masculine thing is characterized by, some strength, and that strength is not really inner, may not be really inner, but more physical strength, because we are bulky, right? We have, even our bone mass and our muscle mass and all that, shows that you have that kind of trait. And it is not, you don't choose. It's not a certain construct that you have to determine, right? Then also there is something about independence and courage that is with the masculine, masculinity and stuff like that. There is some courage, there's some independence. There's also leadership in a way. And it doesn't mean that those who are feminine cannot be leaders. They are not courageous. They are not, they don't have strength. They don't have any of those. They do. But you realize that our build, whatever it is, physically, mentally, socially, spiritually, whatever the build is, it gives us a certain kind of ability to do certain things that women, in a way, may be able to do it, but not as good as men.
Okay.
Not because men are superior or better, but we're unique. So it's just uniqueness and appreciating everybody's uniqueness and maximizing your uniqueness, because we need everybody's uniqueness to be able to create a certain balance in this world. So the argument, and because people are taking advantage of that kind of thing to be able to look down on other people, that's why people call it toxic masculinity and all those things. So to be masculine, it means you have the potential to be masculine. To be feminine, you have the potential to be feminine. The moment you crisscross, you realize that you can never be sound. When I use sound, what it means is that you cannot flow naturally in what you are capable of doing. It's just like, for example, what are you doing in this studio? It comes naturally to you because you have what it takes to do it. It will come. You may not have to rehearse. It's like you just come, sit down, say certain things, and it works. It's because you have the potential to do it.
Yeah.
Messi has the potential to play. That is why this guy has been playing, since childhood.
I don't like talking about that.
So if you're Ronaldo, if you're Messi, you realize that you can decide to learn how to play football. But if you have the potential to play, you're exceptional.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is what it is. So if a masculine figure decides to be that and maximize it, his or her potential, you realize that in society they're able to rise quickly. If a feminine, figure, right, decides to be that and maximize her uniqueness, then you realize that that person will be able to function because it becomes natural. It's just like telling a monkey to climb a tree. So easy. Or a fish to swim. It's so easy. The moment you crisscross, then you're asking them to do what they don't have the capacity to do. Not because the monkey is better than the fish, but they are unique.
Yeah.
And everybody is able to function in a certain unique environment. So in this world, the discussion has to be who is superior. Superiority doesn't come in because when that comes up, then it creates problems. It creates problems, and it is not necessary, because the moment that comes up, then you are creating some imbalance in this world, and the world can never move on the way. That is why when you suppress a man, you are suppressing the world. When you suppress a woman, you are suppressing the world, because you need the woman, you need the man to be able to complement each other, to be able to make sure that this world is functioning well. But because of all the things that has happened all over the world over the years, suppression here and there, people with some toxic narratives here and there, it has made this topic, some way.
So Isaac, men are naturally seen as egoistic in a way. Our egos, and you know what I mean.
Yes.
And so these characters of let's say the traits in a man, are they that, just as you have said, that pushes our egos, or do they add up to our egos, or do they create our egos?
Well, your ego and your attitude and character and all those things, there are a lot of factors that influences what you become throughout your life. From the time you are born, all the things that you're seeing around, the things you're witnessing. Now we know that if a child grows up in an abusive environment, that child grows up to abuse other people. If you raise a child in a very, very good home where that child is encouraged, his uniqueness is reinforced, right, is acknowledged, appreciated, that child grows up with a certain kind of aura and sense of satisfaction that they are able to grow naturally. So physically we grow, mentally, psychologically, socially, spiritually we grow.
Yeah.
But usually we focus more on our physical growth, and the other aspects that influences everything about us, we put it down. So when someone grows up, whoever they are, it may not be because of their genes, though it influences, or because of, in quotes, their ego, but the fact that there are other influences in their lives that has made them become what may not be compatible with normal social relationships, and what can make life pleasant, what is supposed to be.
I see. So then, now let's come back to the alpha male.
Yes.
So then I want us to try to define who an alpha male is and what are the characteristics of an alpha male.
So simply, I think this term, if you compare over the years, there have been all kinds of debates about it and whether it exists or not. But if you look carefully, if you look at some animal species and what they do, it's more of a certain male that has a domineering attitude or advantage in a certain environment. So he is in charge. Everything is about him. Like for example, in a chimpanzee, whatever, you have an alpha male. He's in control of everything. Even the women are for him, right? And if you want to distill him, it means that you need to fight him. So you rise through to become him because you have a certain strength and physical prowess, like some kind of advantage over the others. So it's your fight to be able to possess and be the one who is in charge. Right, you in charge. So most of the characteristics of an alpha, to describe an alpha male, came from that setting. But that setting is one way, right, where you have a community that their social construct and all that is likely to be one way. But that cannot apply to us because we have different social constructs, right? So someone who has that trait may be someone who is domineering in a way, is leadership inclined. They are goal-driven. They are very courageous. They are risk-takers. They are able to, they are success-driven, and they are achievers. They want to achieve. And everything that comes, they don't submit to anything that tries to bring them into submission. The opinion is the opinion. They are not too emotionally driven because they have to achieve. If you want to achieve, you can't feed on emotions too much. So they may be less sensitive to people's feelings and emotions around. And they are go-getters, and they will take because they see themselves as they deserve to take. They see themselves that they have to be successful. They are made for success. They have that kind of mindset. Right, so these are some of the things that comes up, and most of the top performers, whether it's in executive field, in any of those fields, they have that kind of trait, right? But the good news is that every man has that trait in there, but not every man has nurtured it.
Okay.
So you can't have people who are born to be alpha males. No. You grow to assume that based on your nurturing whilst you're growing up. So every man has the potential to be that. So that creates the difference amongst men. Though if you look at all the personality traits, right, we have the, there are 4 major. There are all kinds of subtypes and all kinds of things, but 4 major and 2 groups, introverts, extroverts. You have the introverts, you have the phlegmatics, you have the melancholics. The extroverts, you have the choleric sanguines. The cholerics seem to be more domineering and opinionated, and they want to do what they want to do. They don't care what happens around them, activity driven, goal oriented. So you may have people who have that kind of inner trait already, but what your growth and everything influences that kind of, your ability to be able to assume that role and do it well. Because everybody needs to grow and polish what they have the potential to become. And so that sets the difference between those who are not alpha from those who are alpha. Right? And it's not like, it's more of, if you look at probably a graph, like you plot like this, there are some people who are extreme alphas. They are extreme. And those people will be very difficult to be able to live with them. Then there are people too on the other side who are also too extreme, that they rarely can achieve anything or rise up to anything. But majority of the people are quite in between, a mix of the two. And that is what creates a certain harmony and balance. Because if everybody was driven, like those who are extreme, we can't live in this world.
Well, it is beginning to become like we need an alpha male, for... It's okay. Let me not go there. I'm going to go on this very first break. When we're back, we'll continue the discussion. Please stay tuned. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are in the men's lounge and we are discussing the traits of an alpha male. And what we will be linking into is actually to find out whether the women love or would prefer an alpha male to the regular guy. And so I have with me Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur. We are doing the discussion. But before I proceed, feel free to join us on all our social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, and then on Instagram at e.TVGhana. You can find us there. And then on our WhatsApp number, you can also start sending us your messages on 020-2222-2054. I repeat, 020-2222-2054. Also, some information coming from Yamvita, I need to let you know. So is the baby 6 months and above? Is the baby getting ready for family foods? Make it easy for your baby, okay? Feed the baby Yamvita. Yamvita infant cereal with milk is easy to digest and has been enriched with Nutri-V. Nutri-V is a perfect blend of 16 essential vitamins and minerals, which includes iron, zinc, and calcium to ensure your baby grows deliciously. Yamvita infant cereal enriched with Nutri-V comes in 3 delicious flavors. Listen carefully, 3 delicious flavors: wheat and milk, maize wheat and milk, and rice and milk. Choose Yamvita and you are guaranteed great feeding moments. Yamvita, a delicious way to grow. Doc, let me ask you this. So talking about the alpha male, do you consider yourself, or let me make it simple, are you an alpha male?
I think that I am not in the middle. I'm more towards the alpha than the other, because I'm also very driven. But over the years, because I've learned how to control some of my edges and some of my decisions and my relationships and all that, and it's because I've grown through a certain process. All the weaknesses with that alpha you may not find with me. Once in a while you may see 1 or 2 traits here and there that may be a weakness with the alpha that you may see, but generally I'm more towards that. Otherwise I wouldn't be where I am now. So you see anybody who is functioning at a certain, like I told you, every man it is an inherent ability of every man, and even women. That trait is there, but whoever is able to nurture it well is able to function well at a certain level, not really like the extreme alpha, but at that level that drives the person to be able to achieve things, beyond the average person. So that is where I'm driven towards that more than, Yes.
I see. I mean, saying that every man almost has that in.
It's every man and woman.
Yeah,
Yes.
every man and woman. So then, I still want to know: would you say, or do you think it's hereditary?
I think that people have the potential. That potential is inherent, is hereditary. You have the potential to become.
Yeah.
But your ability to become is dependent on all kinds of social and environmental factors to unearth your potential. For example, you may have the potential to play football, but until that is nurtured, you're just going to run around and nothing happens.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great footballers who never played.
True.
Who never played.
True.
Not because they didn't have the potential, but it was not nurtured, was not discovered and nurtured. So you use the term, I'm using the term alpha to describe certain traits that drives people to achieve and to be able to perform. And that trait is quite inherent. We all have that ability to do that. But not everybody is able to nurture it to that level. But some people do it, and because of all kinds of environmental issues and also past experiences, they become too extreme. And that extreme is what sometimes can create problems.
So, Doc, now, for the sake of what you just said, let me find out from you. We know the exact traits expected of an alpha, almost an extreme alpha, you know. So what are some of their negatives?
So because they are domineering, what it means is that they may suppress others and not listen to others. So when they dream it, they will do it regardless of who says what. And that may be a negative trait. The next is that they are not emotionally attached to anybody. They are not moved by emotions. So because of that, they are not sensitive to the needs of other people. So far as they have to achieve, whatever happens is none of their business. The third is that, you know, because they put a lot of pressure on them to be able to achieve, because that is what they feed on, to be able to feel good about themselves and feel fulfilled, right? That kind of feeling can make them go into all kinds of, even some emotional problems themselves. Because life is not just one way. You can't achieve everything you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Not every dream will come to pass. So you put on that undue pressure on yourself. And when those things happen, it affects everybody else around you. So you may be putting pressure on other people because you want to achieve something in order to feel good about yourself. Then also people may invest too much time, you know, in competitions. Because it is in competition that you find who is the best alpha, if that word is there. So all their mindset and goal is, how do I outdo someone
And remain on top.
and remain on top.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing means that you may go into all kinds of deals and unnecessary things, or things that are not proper in order to be able to assume that position. Then also you realize that anybody who comes around you may not be able to rise. Some may take your inspiration and your direction. But you need more than that to be able to help people become who they have to be.
Yeah.
Goals may be achieved. Like, for example, there are some companies that are run by, you know, top alphas. And their company is doing well, but individuals are not.
Okay.
Because individuals are able to develop better when they are able to have a certain leadership over themselves. And that leadership helps them become who they were created to become.
Yeah.
But usually for the alpha, extreme alpha, you realize that they may not be able to help people become. It's like all
they don't pull them along.
Yeah, all pull them along.
Yeah.
You know, and some people would manipulate and all that just for themselves. So if maybe they even have workers, they may not even take good care of their workers, because extra spending means that they will lose more and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of things. Then also suppression, especially if you're living with someone like that as a spouse and all that. A lot of marital conflicts and problems and stuff may come like that. And you realize that they may not be able to even stay with one woman for a long time.
Yeah.
Because they have that kind of domineering, you know, attitude. And that may not help. So a refined alpha, right, who is not that extreme and has been able to work on all the negatives, is actually what we need in a certain environment to be able to push things. You know, now you realize that even they're comparing, when this alpha thing came up again, they were comparing with Donald Trump.
True, yeah.
You know, there were all kinds of articles to find out. You know, his gestures. You know, he goes for, you know, a G8 or G7 summit, and the way he appears amongst them, you know, his mannerisms and pulling off his coats and all that. People have started studying him and wondering whether people are saying he's an alpha male. All kinds of things, you know, around it, right? So, and look at what he's been able to achieve in 3.5 years. Many things.
A lot, yes.
A lot in 3.5 years. Regardless of all his.
Do you realize one interesting thing? Now, and I'll urge you all to check, and this is my personal research, but this is what I've noticed, Doc. So, from the day Donald Trump became president, social media handles, he has been on top till today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have also noticed it,
Yeah, yes.
but he's been trending from that day till today that we sit here.
Yeah.
Every blessed day,
Yeah.
there's something that puts Donald Trump up there.
Yeah, somewhere. And for him, people are comparing with alpha male, the typical trait, because he really doesn't care what you think, so far as he realizes that this will work.
Yeah.
You know, we have to make it work. You know, so that is why people will feel that he's not empathetic. He's not attached to
But
reality.
he's achieving anyway.
No, he is. If you look at all his records, beyond all the news and the fact that he's tweeted this or said this or that, you know, and he doesn't care, you go on Twitter and talk about all kinds of things. You know, I think he's even enjoying himself because he's being himself.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people are really concerned about it, but I don't think he sees it. So that is typical.
Typical of, yeah.
You know, of someone who you can consider as an alpha. And any achiever in this world, extreme, they do the extreme. And sometimes you need that kind of trait in a certain environment to break through. But if all alphas, in quotes, those who are rising in that sense, right, are able to polish the negatives, then you realize that they become effective leaders. Very, very good leaders who are able to, you know, come up with new innovative ways, fight for a certain cause.
And then the whole thought of competition wouldn't even come
in.
in.
No, it won't come in.
I understand.
Yes.
Doc, this is coming from Elijah from Bolga. So Elijah says, I love watching your program. Please, Doc, does an alpha usually have good relationship with their families?
It's difficult because of that trait. It's difficult for them to appreciate everybody, right, and appreciate their contribution and their uniqueness, and be able to help them develop, right? They may show concern, they may love, but the ability to relate with them on a certain level, that brings them to a certain level, right? That is, the experience is good. It may be difficult. So you may have a father who is like that, and he's driving everybody to excel, but still people are not comfortable around him because of the way he goes about it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I think that's when they say, oh, my dad is strict. My dad is
my dad is like this.
Yeah.
My dad is like that.
Yeah.
My dad is always here doing this and that and that. You know, and think about Donald Trump and his kids. They are all top achievers.
True.
Top achievers.
So then that also, you know, brings this to mind. You know, usually those male, you know, alphas who are very, very hard driven and all that come across as those who were, in quote, bad boys, you know, when they were much younger, because they just hit the ground running, they go everywhere and all that. So I would ask you that, are alpha males bad boys?
I think there's a trait. I used competition, but let me state it this. Alpha males do not compete when they will lose. They compete when they know they have the advantage. And they don't compete.
Then they must be cowards then.
No, it's not coward, it's wisdom. Because everybody has to choose his fight. And you don't choose a fight without wisdom. So it's not cowardice. But it is the fact that they are driven to achieve. So for example, if someone targets a girl somewhere, nothing will stop him. And he knows how to pull all the strings to be able to achieve it, whether you like it or not. So if you are not driven like him, he's going to overtake you. So in a sense, growing up maybe in secondary school, you have people who have that kind of trait. It means like they are taking all the girls in the school or something. So they may come across like that. And for men with such kind of traits, you realize that, especially those who've been able to work and are being refined and still achieving, you realize that some women will be drawn towards them.
Yeah.
So naturally, they may be attracted to certain kind of women.
You know? So for a regular guy, can a regular guy decide to want to be an alpha male and then stay at a cost to work towards that?
Well, the term regular may not be appropriate, but anybody who is not driven, not achieving, not whatever, and they are really down there, what it means is that it's just a mindset. It's a mindset. It's a mindset that I have the potential to be this. And so I just need to nurture it and be. It all starts in the mind. You know, for example, a poor person, in quotes, respectfully, a poor person see getting money as a privilege. A rich person sees getting money as a right.
Yeah.
That is mindset.
Yeah.
A rich person may decide that I won't buy anything that is cheap. Until I make the money, I won't buy it. A poor person may say, oh, it's also okay, let me settle with it. It's just a mindset. You know, so anybody who thinks that they are not achieving or doing many things, or they think they are not driven enough and they are really down there, it is just a decision, a step ahead, away, that I would want to be able to achieve this. And I need a certain mindset, a certain character, a certain approach to be able to achieve that. So anybody can rise to a certain level depending on what they see, how they see it, and their goals and what their dreams are.
Doc, we are going to go on my very next break, but before we go, I want to ask you this. So, what are some of the personality traits and behaviors of an alpha male, okay, that women are attracted to?
You know, women, there are three things that makes a woman fulfilled, right? There are three things. The first one is appreciation. When you appreciate them for what they've done. The second is admiration. When you admire them for who they are and everything about them.
Yeah.
The third one is freedom. Every woman wants to be appreciated. Every woman wants to be admired. Every woman wants to be free.
Okay.
So an alpha male, in all his achievements and all who he is and his drive and everything, is able to create a certain environment where a woman can be all the three. Because to be appreciated, you should have the means to support. And a woman feels some level of satisfaction when they are able to support a certain man to be able to achieve a certain dream. And that acknowledgement comes to her that it's through her efforts that this man is who they are. So every woman would want to support a man who is achieving. And every woman also wants to achieve. So there are two things. A woman can be achieving potential. Every woman has the potential to achieve whatever they want to achieve.
Yeah.
Right? Because God has given women the potential to do that.
Yeah.
Even sometimes above what men can do.
Oh, true.
Right? In addition to that, the achievement, another aspect of womanhood that brings a certain level of satisfaction and fulfillment is when they are able to see a man to achieve some achievement. Right? So we say that behind the success of every man is a woman. Right? So immediately they are able to achieve what it means, the appreciation comes to them. And every woman is driven also by appreciation and admiration. When you have someone who has achieved and has created an environment where your needs are met without struggle, what it means is that anything you have to do to be admired, you can do it. Your looks, your rise, everything, you're able to get that. Then the last one is freedom. Every achievement and success takes you to a certain level of freedom. So you are this woman who is married to this person or has a partner this, and the person is achieving. What it means is that achievement, in addition to achievement, creates a certain environment, right, that helps you become free. And it's one of the things that every woman is looking for. So that is why you may have some women, maybe most women, driven towards a man who knows what they are about. They are goal driven and they are achieving. No woman wants to sit around a man who is not achieving anything. That depresses them, makes them even lose something about themselves.
Yeah.
But if you have a man who is achieving and encourages a woman to achieve, that combination really helps. But it becomes problematic when the negatives of that kind of man, in terms of what we've talked about, now suppresses her achievement, disregards her appreciation, right, and downplays her admiration.
Well, on this note, we are going to go on the next break. We'll be back. Please stay tuned. We are still in the men's lounge and we are discussing the alpha male and whether the women like the alpha male or they like the regular guy and all that. Charlie, I've just learned really much about the alpha male. I'm beginning to realize where I am, you know. So I'll tell you about that later. And let me still remind you that GMABC is still in the Wheels month, Auto month, where we talk about cars and everything. And so July is the month of Wheels at GMABC. Partner with our brands YFM, Happy FM, and ETV in this month of July to be part of our in-depth discussions on licensing, ownership, maintenance, and everything automobile. You can have an opportunity to promote your automobile brand's accessories and service across all television and radio stations in addition to digital platforms. It's the GMABC Automobile Month throughout the month of July. Keep your dial right here and let's warm up to great conversations in this month of July. Sponsors Tuahini Automobile, AEY Group. And then for inquiries, you can also sponsor or put a WhatsApp through to 0202222059 or 0242884571. Doc, so there's this one I want to know.
Yeah.
What does an alpha male want in a woman?
Okay, so I talked about the women, right? Three things: admiration, appreciation, and freedom.
Yeah.
These three things. A woman will resist oppression because that doesn't make them fulfilled. They will move away from people who don't appreciate and admire them. That's it. But for an alpha male, because of what they want to achieve, and generally men, there are three things that they're looking for in a woman. One, peace. Because it is in peace that dreams are birthed and plans are outlined. So peace. So a woman who gives an alpha male peace to dream and to plan and to strategize, that will be his preferred choice. Then also the next thing a man needs, especially the alpha needs, is pleasure. Pleasure is what refreshes a man, strengthens a man to take on the next fight.
Okay.
So it's like the world beats you with all the struggles and all the risk and ups and downs. So you come home to a woman who gives you pleasure. So a man is always looking for a hiding place where he can get peace and pleasure. Even the Bible talks, I think Proverbs chapter, I've forgotten the verse, says that a nagging wife is like a leaking roof. So peace and pleasure. Then the last one is support for purpose, right? Support for purpose, because they need a certain kind of support, encouragement. You are planning with him, you are pushing him, you are encouraging him, it's going to work, this and that and that. It's because that is what they want to achieve.
Yeah. And
actually, that is what every man needs.
Okay.
Just that need may be demanded or maybe more for someone who is a high achiever. A high achiever won't want to come home and discuss and fight over trivial things. Who is clean or who is not? Whether the maid servants are doing this or not.
Yeah.
Who is doing those things are not part of or shouldn't be part of the discussion. So every man or an alpha male for that matter has these three things: peace, pleasure, and support for purpose. And any man who gets that, they're able to achieve anything.
Okay.
Okay. And also they are driven by a woman who would make them the alphas.
Okay. Well, make them get to the top.
So a man is driven by a woman who is able to awaken the alpha in him.
Yeah.
Like that. So it's anytime I'm around this woman, I feel I can do something with my life.
Yeah.
Even if I'm discouraged, it's like I can do it. And a man would always run away from a woman who doesn't give peace or pleasure or support. And sometimes women think that men, do not want a woman who is achieving. Until you marry a woman who is achieving, you cannot achieve because they don't know how to help you to achieve. Every man is looking for a woman who is achieving, but a woman who would also make him, discover the alpha in him. So when you treat a man as a king, he loves you. When you set a woman free, she loves you.
That's interesting. Well, on this note, the phone lines are open and the number is 0555-657278. 0555-657278. So, Doc, what are the male traits, again, the alpha male traits, that turn off a woman?
So the opposite of the three things I talked about for women. Women love appreciation, admiration, and freedom. So what about the alpha that turns a woman off is one, a man who suppresses.
A man who suppresses.
Suppresses. It's like you don't take anything I want to say. Or in addition to that, probably you even abuse me, verbally, physically. You know, freedom is a woman's thing. And any man who suppresses a woman, it's a no-no for a woman. The next is that lack of admiration.
Yeah.
So a woman who is not admired, regardless of your achievement, is just waste of time.
Okay.
So if your achievement does not result in my admiration or reduces my admiration in your eyes, such that you place other people above me, it's a no-no for a woman. Then also the last one I thought is appreciation. Because a woman necessarily wants to support an alpha male to achieve. And every effort has to be appreciated. Because it's in appreciation that women also find some level of fulfillment. That is why if you don't appreciate a woman, it's a turn off regardless of who you are. So a woman is always driven about who is. So you realize that if a man appreciates a woman, that alone drives the woman towards the man. Any sweet talker who is a man, right, who appreciates you, admires you, you realize that sometimes you see this girl, running after a man, and you see this guy, you ask, Charlie, why this girl? Why this guy cry? Or you probably go for a wedding and Charlie, you see the two of them, Charlie mismatch. You wonder why? It is these three things. Who makes me, look good? Who makes me feel good? And who makes me feel free? These things, influences a woman's choice or decision about whoever walks into her lives or whoever stays, because that helps with fulfillment.
Well, I'm going to take my very last break, and so please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Are open, and so feel free to call us on 0555657278, 0555657278. I have something special to do with Doc. So when we started, I spoke about Vita, if you remember, and I mentioned that they have 3 flavors. Just have a surprise for you, but I just don't want to dash you the surprise. I want you to answer that. Mention one of these flavors.
I'll mention 2 that I remember. So it's maize and wheat. Maize and wheat. Yes, with milk.
Okay. You've done very well. It's correct. And so I'm going to give this to you, and make sure you drop this by the house for the kids.
Thank you very much.
So I'm sure your wife is watching.
Thank you.
I have counted it too. I'll text her the number. Make sure it gets home.
Thank you.
Okay. And so, all right. So keep your messages coming, okay? And then we'll do justice to them. So, Doc, one other thing that I want to know now, knowing that alpha male, this, that, and that, it's something that's more like an innate thing that obviously you would have to nurture, okay? Now, who should be able to look at you and tell you whether you are an alpha, or you are drawing towards an alpha, or you are a regular person?
I think that the people around you, often, those you come into contact with, you have a certain, consistent relationship with, they are the ones who maybe would have experienced you, to a large extent, and they can make that kind of input into your life. Aside your own self-assessment, right, of who you are and what you can do or what you are becoming, the people who are around you, most importantly your spouse. If you have a spouse, that spouse should be able to do that. Your mentors, right, people who you look up to and have a certain kind of relationship with and inspire and admire you, take a certain level of advice and cue from. Those people would be able to also tell you something about yourself. Then also your mates, your friends, like people around you, you schooled with, people you work with, your colleagues, at work. Once in a while they'll be making some kind of comments and inputs. It may be negative, that may be the negative side of an alpha, it may be positive. So all those comments around. And sometimes you may meet someone who, for just a short time of interaction with you, the person will make a comment. And that comment reflects an aspect of you which you may not even know.
Yeah.
And I realize that ultimately God has a way of speaking to all of us in several ways. You know, so during a time of meditation and all that, He's able to bring your mind to some aspect about you that you must develop and some aspect about you that you must work on so that you become a better person. So all these combinations, if we are listening, right, to people around me, there are people who have told me several things about me, right? And sometimes I think about it. Sometimes when I'm alone, maybe I'm meditating or something, it's like I think about it, you know, and you want to take steps to be able to deal with. It's not everything you're able to deal with now, but with time, when you start, you know, working on it, it becomes better.
And again, you also have to be careful. I mean, you know who is coming from, because some people just don't like you and they want to say something.
Yes.
Anyway, and so this is coming from well, so like I said, I need you to keep your comments coming, but just that unfortunately time is up. We can't take any call, and then we can't continue the messaging. But let me give you this. So as part of preparations to give listeners accurate and objective analysis and reporting pre, during, and post-elections 2020, Global Media Alliance Broadcasting Company is set to officially outdoor its election coverage team under the unique banner GMABC Election Camp 2020. The election coverage team and its activities will be outdoored on Monday, 20th July 2020 at 1 p.m. The launch will be carried live on e.TVGhana, Happy 98.9 FM, and on all the social media assets of the brand. GMABC Election Camp 2020, championing objective, analytical, and violence-free election. Well, on this note, I'm going to bring the program to an end. Let me just remind you that this is the very last episode of the season 3. We will go on a very short break, and then we'll be back with a revamped season 4 with a lot of attractions, a lot of information, a lot of things that you'll be expecting. Keep your text messaging coming. Tell us the things you want to see. And you know what we do? We do best. Ask us for it. You just might get it. Thank you for being part of this evening. Thank you a lot to Casa Preco and Lomo Bitters for being part of the show. Thank you to Yam Vita. And then, thank you, Doc, for being with us. Doc loves coming to the men's lounge, and we appreciate it. Next season, you are going to be with us,
Thank
okay?
you.
And I might have become a doctor already, so maybe you'll be here and I'll be there again. We'll be talking. All right, have a very good night. We'll be back again. Thank you.